allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for showing up. Okay, the Halloween hours are already set, so I guess we don't have to add that one. Looking for approval of tonight's agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Your second?
I'll second.
Motion to approve, and there's a second to approve tonight's agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Item number 4, approve amendments. Approve or have amendments to regular meeting September 13th, 2021. Any questions?
No, I'll make a motion to approve the regular scheduled meeting minutes dated September 13th, 2021.
Okay.
I'll second the motion.
There's a motion and a second to accept the regular, the minutes of the regular meeting September 13th. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Item number 5, receive treasurer's report as presented September 2021.
I will move to accept the treasurer's report dated Monday, October 11th, 2021. It shows us having a total of $1,381,137.13.
I'll second that motion.
There's a motion and a second to approve the treasurer's report.
Second.
In a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Number 6, authorize payment of bills and transfers as presented September 21. Anybody have any questions? There's no questions. Looking for a motion to approve.
I will make a motion to approve authorized payments of bills and transfers as presented September 21, public comment,
All right.
Support.
There's a motion and support to authorize a payment of bills and transfers. Money, we better, Tracy, could you do a roll call?
Schluntz. Yes. Moore.
Yes.
McAfee.
Yes.
Walworth.
Yes.
Motion carries. Item number 7, public comments on agenda items only. Let's see. Anybody like to speak on the agenda items? There'll be a spot for you to speak later, other items.
Yeah, Ms. Coleman.
Okay, no one, one for the first public comment. Reports, administrator's report.
I provided the 2020 census report results for Genesee County. The Village of Goodrich population experienced the largest increase in the county at 8.7%. We went from 1860 to 2022. That's a pretty good increase there. Then it was brought to my attention by the supervisor at Atlas Township that the village business owners are unhappy with the Gear food trucks blocking off the streets and taking away business from their establishments. I was also understand that the fire chief had issues too and took those also to the Atlas Township supervisor. I want to point out that at no time has anyone come to my office, to this office, as far as business owners or the fire chief, and complained to me or anyone else about these issues. They all went to the supervisor at Atlas Township. The chief called, or no one called with complaints or concerns. I only know about them because the supervisor mailed me the complaints, which I provided some of that to you guys. I included some emails I received from Atlas Township supervisor on the subject. I called the representative from Gear, Melissa, and she was very, very willing to work with us. And I asked her about setting up the Grub Fest in our park instead, and she indicated that they would be happy to do that. However, before my time here, years ago, they were told they couldn't set up on village property and make a profit. So I posed this question to our attorney, And his opinion, which I included also, indicated that the approval from the council, that they can get approval from the council and they can indeed set up in our park. In researching our ordinances, I found that we do not have a food vendor ordinance, food truck vendor ordinance, so I'm working on creating one and we'll bring it to council for consideration. And on the subject of ordinances, I was also asked to look at creating an ordinance for flooding, regarding flooding, and an ordinance for land erosion. I was also have a request for a proposed ordinance from our code enforcement officers pertaining to junk motorized vehicles. If council has no objections, I would like to move forward with looking into creating these ordinances pertaining to these topics and bring to council for consideration.
Could you give us more information on the flooding and land erosion ordinances?
I will. I will bring, well,
What are they pertaining to?
like the situation in Fairview,
With the dogs,
no,
are we gonna
the
ever address
flooding
that
and
issue?
water issue.
Didn't we, just to bring up a question on this in general, back in like January, didn't a few council members make like a subcommittee that you guys were gonna go over all the ordinances?
And they are, it's a slow process. It's a slow process, and that's what they've been doing, and code enforcement's also going through them. So, yeah.
And these aren't at all?
No, we do not have them. Some communities have them, some don't. We do not.
Because if that's not a floodplain, yeah.
I mean, we go with what the county, isn't that correct, Tracy, in our building with soil erosion and that?
Soil erosion's all the county.
All county, it's all county. But Councilman Wendy has spoke with Sue at the county, and she indicated, she's the one that asked me to do these ordinances, look into it. And she said that she spoke with Sue at the county, and that Sue indicated that the village needed to look into perhaps getting some of these ordinances in our books. So I'm gonna look at it. I'm gonna, just look into it. Doesn't mean we have to do it. I'm just
Yeah, I'm
gonna,
kinda
I'll bring you the
curious as to what-
information. I'd be
what-
happy to.
What they're in regards to, I guess, so when you get.
Well, like building in a flood zone. I mean, that was a flood zone and they were allowed to build.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a man-made lake.
True, there wasn't a lake when it was built. So to me, there's lots of issues in that area, but,
Well, you got lots of issues with people that have a house in a flood zone.
Sure.
They just have to, the mortgage companies are required to
mhm,
carry
Are we
mhm,
speaking
flood
about-
insurance.
mhm.
Are we speaking about, East Eagle?
No, Fairview.
Okay, yeah, Fairview, that's on East Eagle, that's what I
Oh,
meant.
yeah,
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, yeah, because.
But not just there, anywhere from now on, because Atlas, or the village, Atlas and this village is low. I mean, we have a lot of
Yeah.
low-lying areas. We need
I just
to address
noticed-
that.
They didn't have no issues prior to the barn going in, and I have some questions.
The barn?
To ask you.
Because the
Is it
barn,
called the barn? Yes, it's
all
across from
all the drains are now crushed from their excavators.
Yeah,
This is a whole different meeting though, but yeah,
Yeah.
all the
Okay.
drains are
Yeah,
send us
completely crushed by their
information,
equipment.
share with
Okay,
us.
I will definitely do my research and provide you with
thank you.
many options. Then, which brings me to Municode. Municode, who are the ones that provide us with our ordinances and keeping them in track on our website. And they just, offered us a quote to codify. And what that does, which I provided you all with a copy of what local ordinances do, to help explain why we would codify. I'll be bringing this back to the council with more detail, but there are about 12 to 15 companies that codify. Municode is not the only one, but Municode is the one that we have been using. But, if we choose to do this,
What do we pay them per month to host?
it's a year. $300-400. It's like $1,200 a year. I don't know, something like that.
But then now, the legal review,
This the legal review will put it in order, bring it up to date, and all ordinances have to comply with the state statutes. That's what this is all
now is
about.
this something that would be
Explains
done after all these new ones that we're considering and?
It will be done,
adapting to?
and from now on, as they come in, we'll add them to it.
$150 an
So
hour.
when we come up with a new ordinance and so forth, do we get charged some kind of administration fee for them to add that in?
It's part of what we pay right now at the end of each year in November. Any ordinances that we've added or amendments that we've added throughout the year are then codified and added into our ordinances that are on file and on our
Sure, if you
website.
can just get some more information, you know, I know you gave us a price here. but-
Oh, definitely. I wouldn't expect you to, I'm just saying this is
No,
going
I
to be
know,
coming
I know.
at you.
Just some clarification,
Yes.
because then on
Sure.
the quote page, it also
Yep.
references the legal review as
Mhm.
well. And our stuff is already out there on the Muni Code
Mhm.
website right now.
Yes, it is.
And so, I'm just trying, I'd like to understand exactly, what it is,
Sure.
that they're gonna provide, because like I said, I
Mhm.
had talked with you earlier, I don't think that they're going to, make recommendations for additional,
No, they will,
ordinances that we don't currently have, you know, it's not like they're gonna say, well, most municipalities have, you know, this ordinance and this ordinance and this ordinance and this ordinance, and you guys don't have that, you guys may want to consider that, I don't.
but they will look at them for being redundant, like I explained to you
Right.
on the phone today. Some of our ordinances are redundant.
I guess my question is it seems like they would have, done that when we originally, contracted with Muni Code originally.
It depends on when you do an amendment. If you do an amendment, you need to tell them exactly where you want that amendment to go and what it's replacing. If that wasn't done correctly, then they're not gonna do
I
it.
understand, I just don't know, I don't know what the history is, I don't know
I don't either.
when we originally contracted with Muni Code, how long we've been with
Mhm.
Muni Code. I mean, I understand so the concept is if you go out to our website and you go to, ordinances and you click on that, our ordinances and stuff aren't stored on our website, it's gonna redirect you to Muni Code.
That's correct.
And then when you go to Muni Code, you're gonna say the Village of Goodrich, and then you'll be able to get, all of our ordinances.
Mhm.
And communities do this, and they have a standardized state format, so to say.
Correct.
So that when you go to look for a certain ordinance, it's searchable and.
That's what codification is, yes.
Right.
Mhm.
So I guess what I'd also like you to find out, Sherry, is when did we originally contract with them?
Mhm.
And did they do a process like this when we first did it? And-
Okay.
And so how many years has it been since we contracted with them? And if they already did it once, there hasn't been enough that's really changed in our ordinances for us to go and pay that money to do it again.
Well, if you're talking about us, when I first came here and I had you guys contract with them to put the ordinances on our website, our ordinances were on our website, but only not in a,
Not in that
not in a
form.
searchable manner.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
So that's what they provided to us with this, what we have right now. It's a search engine for us. That's what that is.
No, I just was wondering, you know, if they.
If there's anything back farther, I'll
Some of this,
look.
when they first put it together
I
and
will
put it
look.
in, if
I'll
they
find
checked
out.
for redundancies or
Sure.
anything,
I will look.
right?
Mhm.
So that's all, I
Sure.
just wanna understand what it is that we're
Mhm.
gonna get for that money and.
Of course, of
Okay.
course.
The administrator?
I am done. Thank you.
DPW,
Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. No, one more. I just provided you all with a letter from Wade Trim regarding the Goodrich Meadows subdivision roadway rehabilitation project. I want you to know that between Tracy and myself and with Pat helping also, doing this side of the bonding part of this, none of us have done before, and the bond attorney has been tremendous. We couldn't have done this without that bond attorney. And he was very helpful through all this. So these are things I had no clue, none of us did, of what we needed to do here, but he has helped us. And it takes a while to do this, so we're really missing that treasurer that we do not have. So bottom line is, we just finished the signing of the municipal bonding last Wednesday. Kevin Cook from Wade Trim notified ACE that indeed we were finished. And as of 2 weeks ago, ACE indicated, because we were having pretty good weather, that they would be able to finish that this year. Well, now the rain's starting and all, and they're concerned that if they start it, they might not be able to finish it, and they're afraid that it would be not a good job. So basically, ACE informed Wade Trend that they're not comfortable beginning the reconstruction project this late in the year. And they stated that their goal is to provide the best finished product for all their projects, and could not guarantee that that would be achieved given the pending fall weather. So they agreed to hold their pricing for the spring, which is mid to late April is when the project would be then done. So it's going to have to be held off until spring. Just because we want to make sure that, well, they do and we do too, we want to make sure it's a good job.
Yes,
Right.
that makes
I mean, that's
sense.
over $500,000.
Don't waste
So
time.
I just wanted to bring that to everybody's attention. This is also being sent to their homeowners association, that it will be held off until spring. I know it's disappointing, and
I'm just reading this letter, and I just want to make sure, it says they agree to hold their pricing for the
Mhm.
spring,
Mhm.
mid to late April 2022. If something happens and they're delayed beyond spring,
Right.
does that mean they're not gonna honor their
no,
price?
they're gonna honor it. That's
Okay,
over
I'm just-
$500,000. No, I think that speaks highly of the company, that they want to do a good job.
So have you communicated this to Goodrich Meadows?
No, I just said that that letter is being, that information is being relayed by Wade Trim to their homeowners association. Yes,
Oh, okay.
today. Mhm.
Cameron?
I'm done now. I apologize,
No
Sherry.
problem. No, you're, that's good. TPW report.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry, to interrupt. Just one more thing, you had given us this letter here. Would you like?
Mr. Boland,
to
Mr.
read
Boland will
this?
be for Mr. Boland? Right?
Yeah.
That, he's, during, public comments at the end of the meeting, he'll speak.
Oh,
Make it
okay,
part
all
of the
right,
record.
I just want to make sure it got read into record.
Yeah, he's going to read it.
Okay,
Mhm.
sorry about that, go ahead.
Matt Main Supervisors, September 2021. These are bullet points. Painting crosswalks and stop bars on Ridge Road and around Reed School. Mowing continues in the park and all other areas between rains. Chloride for gravel roads was scheduled for October 7th. However, due to the rain, it has been postponed until October 14th. We will be adding limestone in a few areas. Issue continues with kids tearing up the grass in the park, doing donuts and spinning out. We have video recordings. Reports have been given to the sheriff's department along with copies of the video. We are working on obtaining additional pricing for solar-powered flashing beacons for the stop signs located at Ridge and M15 in January. We have one cost so far from the county for $13.95 each. Due to the heavy rains this year, we have clogged culverts on the East Eagle Road from M15 to Fairview subdivision. I will be contacting the Genesee County Road Commission to see if they can ditch it for us. Too difficult to get the proper drainage grade with the village backhoe. Still planning to rent a wood chipper this fall, depending on the weather. And that's it. For fucking DPW. And, sorry. Code enforcement activity report.
Sherry, go back, location, do you mean Ridge and Green and Ridge and January?
Yes.
Instead of Ridge and 15?
Is that what I mean?
Just Ridge in January.
Ridge in January, yeah.
M15 was an accident. in
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
that's why I
oh,
thought,
yeah.
that's already done.
So what's going on in the park? Are we doing anything about, I mean, what's been done so far?
Well, the best thing we ever did was pay money to put, those
That was
video
good investment.
cameras up there. They've been, when that happens, we give copies of those to the sheriff's department, and the sheriff department does their job. So, yes, it's being worked on.
Okay, and then the other thing is on the wood chipper, so are we going to, like, advertise that people can bring their brush down to the park, or where are we doing with the wood chipper? What are they doing with the wood chipper?
I can't answer that question. You'd have to speak with the supervisor, DPW
Well, I know
supervisor.
they talked about it, I'm just
I know they
not
did
sure
too,
what-
but is that something, that's not something we normally do. But if that's something that the council would consider doing,
No,
then
I'm just asking, because I'm just.
I don't
just
think
know
so.
what they-
I hate to
what they're
speak for him.
looking for.
I don't think so. I think they're gonna be cleaning up what they need to clean up. So I don't know,
Okay,
honestly.
That one was just for DPW use.
okay, just,
I apologize, I don't know.
I'm sorry, just wanted some clarification.
Can I ask a question on the code enforcement reports?
Sure.
So what does it mean when he says reviewed ordinances?
They're in the
Oh,
office,
they're
going through the
not- okay,
ordinances.
That's not that there was a call.
No,
Okay,
they're going
okay.
through them and helping Doug and Sherry, all four of them are going through the books.
Mr. Randy, do you want to talk about the code enforcement activity report?
Anybody, any questions on those? I can,
I don't.
No.
I don't.
you know, they're usually in the office, you guys, on every Tuesday morning, so if you guys, have any questions or want to stop in and speak with either one of them, come on in. Then they hit the road around between 11 and noon to hit the
Building department,
village.
activity report? Everything slowed down just a little bit. We had some very, very good months. From March until September. Total construction value, $856,600. New construction, that's the way to present that, that's new,
Mm-hmm,
new building permits.
mm-hmm.
Cash receipt?
Taxes came in.
Any questions?
Nope.
Okay. Fire department activity report? Sixteen full, I was told that those represent full calls, they do have a few others that they assist other people with.
Mm-hmm.
16 full calls. Okay, sheriff's department,
Mhm.
that's a long one.
Mhm.
It's usually 9 pages.
I did give the Genesee County Sheriff credit and a great thank you for putting that traffic controller on Eagle, and they had a sheriff there 9 out of 10 days.
I'll tell you what, that was a good one. You know, I always watch my speed going through there, but you go through that one, and if you do go over in that one, it's got the flashing
It goes
lights.
crazy, yeah.
I'll tell you, that gets your heart going for a second,
Well, for a while, he was just sitting on Eagle, and then he started sitting on Rose Lane, and he would get 4 a day,
I
usually,
bet.
at the school drop-off time.
Wow,
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, good.
No, that was a neat one.
Okay, number 9, unfinished business, none. Item 10, new business. Authorize administrator to submit grant.
Can we, Mr. Colby is here in the audience, and we
Yeah, we can
asked
go
him
to
to come
that.
in. Can we move
Sure.
to 10D, do 10D first,
Yep.
please? 10D is the resolution authorizing issuance of capital improvement. Oh, no, I'm sorry, that's the wrong one, reading the wrong one. This is emergency medical services agreement, so,
So I
Mr.
wanted to
Colvin.
see if Mr. Miller could come in and
Mr.
just
Miller.
talk to us. I know that Sherry, Doug, and myself, we were at a joint meeting with Atlas Township where he came in and spoke with us. So we had heard from him, and he kind of explained why this whole agreement came to be in the first place. And we got to hear different perspectives from, like, the fire chief and so forth, and, so anyways, I know, well, Wendy's not here tonight, so this is really for your benefit, Melissa.
Yes, thank you.
But I wanted, I just wanted you here, really because I didn't know who we were gonna get from the village to come in to hear, and to kind of hear your words and as to why, you know, we think that this is an important agreement to put in place.
Sure, so I'll be pretty brief and then take questions afterwards, so I'm not retelling everything you might have heard once or twice already. But I think most of us who've been around Genesee County long enough know that our EMS system is very unique. I started here in 1987 at a company called Lifeline Ambulance on Corona Road. And it was a weird system then. And here we are 40 years later and it's still broken. So we have a concept that the closest ambulance is how we do everything. Back then, we had bases on a map. Goodrich Ambulance used to have a base, and if there was a call out here, they'd look at the map and they'd call Goodrich and say, here's your call. And then, several years later, we found that spending all this time on the phone, calling the bases, wasn't the best way to do it. So we said, not we, but we said, let's use GPS. Instead of these bases, let's use GPS. So then all the ambulances kind of piled up in the middle of the county, where all the volume is, because the only way to get a call in this GPS model is to be on top of the volume. There are people that will tell you that we improved the response times when we did this by using GPS. But in the periphery, we know that if all the ambulances are piled up at Corona and Linden, the service in the communities out and around is not that good. Everywhere else in the state, and when I tell you with a 30-something year career that I don't even want to admit to yet, and some national work, no other place in the country uses an ambulance deployment system like is in place in Genesee County, because it doesn't work. Everywhere else in the state and the country either designates their provider, the Roseville Fire Department or the Sterling Heights Fire Department, or they identify a contracted provider for their city, village, township, or sometimes the entire county. When you identify a provider, the provider is responsible for the service. Rather than this random hodgepodge of who might be where, you've got accountability within providers, there's a contracted response time performance, there's a guarantee of a monthly discussion with patient satisfaction, and we work together to provide service. That's the long story. The short story is, you can spread your resources out better if you don't have to worry about somebody jumping in the middle on you and always worrying about where the other ambulance is. So when we serve Atlas Township and we serve the village of Goodrich, we'll be able to do it by using the M15 corridor and spreading our trucks out. We've got the city of Davison, Davison Township, Richfield Township, Forest Township, spreading those resources out. Even though we're not going to have an ambulance on every corner, and we're very careful to say that this isn't 2-minute response times, but at least now we know that we've got an obligation in these communities, we can spread our resources in these communities, and that service is supported by the volume. Not worrying about somebody sneaking in half a mile behind us and being closer to the next call, and then it becomes unsustainable. Fenton Township is working in a work group tonight to sign theirs. Gaines Township signed last week. The southern tier of the county, by and large, are signing the service agreements, all with the exception of the city of Fenton and village or city of Linden, who will sign another agreement with somebody else, and that's good too. The concept is better than what we have right now. The only remaining hurdle, and we have a meeting tomorrow at Genesee Central, the dispatch authority. There is, and I have to be very careful to stay in my lane here because we are the vendor in this discussion and not the municipalities, but there is a challenge in that the Genesee County 911 Executive Board is essentially deciding whether or not they're gonna honor the direction of the communities that are telling them to use our contracted ambulance company. That discussion is ongoing. I think everybody's trying to be nice and realize that we're trying to overcome 40 years of history here. But ultimately, the communities are stepping up and saying, look, this model doesn't work for us. The further we get from the middle, the less it works. And we're directing you that this is our ambulance company, and if there's a 911 call in our community, that's who it goes to. It's taken some time, but I think we're getting there. So you'll see in your proposed agreement, you have a response time commitment for priority 1 calls. We are a company that does not believe in running hot to calls that aren't emergencies. So if you call for a stubbed toe or a sprained ankle, the ambulance doesn't come flying down the road. We would rather not be involved in an accident on the way. You will get a quarterly response time performance. You'll get a quarterly patient satisfaction survey report from me. You'll get me once a quarter. And we'll talk through how the service is going in the community. Not very unlike the way it used to be when we had community-based ambulance services and they reported once in a while to the elected officials. So that's kind of the model that we're proposing. 2 seconds about MedStar. We're a not-for-profit organization owned by the Henry Ford Health System, McLaren Healthcare Corporation, and the Ascension Michigan Healthcare System. It's late in the day. We have 153 ambulances, 940 clinical employees serving 911 healthcare systems in 9 counties in Michigan, and the only EMS aircraft in the state of Michigan owned by an EMS provider. So we have an air mounted program as well. We're a licensed, accredited paramedic training program. Our current operations are on Hill Road in Mundy Township. We've outgrown the building already, and we're in the process of buying property in Mundy Township now. We are the first EMT program in the state of Michigan that pays people to go to the EMT Academy and as a full-time job. And once they're hired by MedStar after the academy, we pay for their paramedic training inside. So it's a full employment proposal, and we do everything we can to use people from the communities that we serve.
Thank you very much, that was a great presentation.
Very briefly.
I like that access, we listened to the 2 different ones.
I have a couple of questions for you. So,
You know, the hard thing about this is trying to determine if this is working, right? And I guess, you know, from my point of view, I don't necessarily have a good way to gauge that. What kind of metrics will you be reporting in the quarterly report that you give us? Are you gonna give us like the if it's an urgent call, how long it took you guys to get there? I mean, what type of things will you be giving us?
So what you'll see in the quarterly response time report is you'll see a call volume, just a raw number of responses into the township or in the village, and then you'll see a breakdown by minutes. So it'll say 2-minute response, there was 3, 4-minute response, there were 5, and it'll go on breaking it down all the way to an overall percentage. So you'll have the real-time, if you will, review, but what we also have that's valuable is we have the central dispatch records from the years previous. So we can say that back in 2019, when you were using whatever random ambulance happened to be somewhere close, this was your average response time, or your fractile response time broken down by minutes. And here's how it works now that we're providing the dedicated service in the community. So there's a real-time performance measuring, and then there's also the process to look back and say, back when it was the way that it was, this is what we were getting and this is what we're getting now. So I think that shows the benefit of the change, and it also shows the quality of service that's being provided in the current delivery model. The other thing that I think is important, and we talk about this all the time, and it's a hard concept for a lot of us to get, and sometimes even when I'm talking about it, it's hard for me to present. The real qualifier that we work towards as a healthcare system-based ambulance provider, we look at outcomes. We look at what's the real difference that we're making for the patients, both in their satisfaction and in the clinical outcome. Because it may be, and it's kind of proving that running 90 miles an hour to get to some of these scenes is more dangerous than the care that we're delivering. And in some of the situations, using the wrong ambulance for the wrong call actually leads to a longer response time for the ones who actually need it. So how we build that system, and once we get more, once the data becomes clearer that we get from Genesee Central, because we only get it through FOIA, so ours is a little difficult to work with sometimes, it may become very clear that in the deployment model in Genesee County, there's ALS and BLS trucks maybe sitting side by side, and the broken leg doesn't get an ALS truck. Or the fall with isolated injuries gets a BLS truck, and the reason for that is keeping the ALS truck in service for the heart attack, so that the drug box and the heart monitor and all those things are available. So there's a lot of work yet to be done, but from a reporting and metrics perspective, it's my hope that you'll be able to see in a way that makes sense to you both the current service levels, as well as a look back in how it was before you went to a contracted service.
Well, and I think when you talk about this concept, it's hard for people to understand that this is better than what we have, right? Because, I mean, right now, they're supposed to send the closest ambulance, right? Everybody wants the closest ambulance to show, you know, for their emergency. But then, like, when you explain that, you know, these ambulances are hanging out in Flint Township, because that's where the volume's at, then there may not be an ambulance that's near. And so this concept is supposed to give us, I guess, ambulances that are within our general area, so that we'll get a faster response. So like you said, we had, I mean, like in this general area, we had Richfield Township, Forest Township, Davison Township, City of Davison, Atlas Township, the Village of Goodrich, if we agree on this tonight. And then you mentioned Gaines, and so how many ambulances are you gonna have within, I guess, you know, Genesee County here?
So right now, I think our Genesee County deployment is at about 45 ALS and BLS trucks rolling out of Hill Road right now. That's limited by two things. Number one, parking is one, is we can't fit any more employees into our parking lot than we have. And as the volume dictates, so one of the hardest things about this model, and being from here, it's frustrating as heck that we can't do this. One of the hardest things to predict about Genesee County call volume is the expectation of call volume, because if I put out 15 trucks today, I might get 75 calls. If I put out 15 trucks tomorrow, but the other guy happens to decide to put out 10, I might get 5 calls. And the planning for that model is very difficult. So we look at the Genesee Central history, we look at the response times, and we say, okay, all the way over here, all the way down here, and everything in between, the peak volume is a certain number of trucks. Let's say it's 15. So at peak, this system generates about 15 calls an hour. We're gonna have about 20 trucks into that system so that we're always covered. And remember, they're always moving around. They might be at this corner from this hour to this hour, but then suddenly they drop down south for a couple minutes, they drop back up. They're always moving based on that volume. And the more data that comes into our computer system, the better the system does about putting them out there. Because you may need 15 at 3 o'clock in the afternoon during everybody's peak, but the system only needs 9 at 3 o'clock in the morning when everybody's asleep. You're still covering geography, so you get appropriate response time, but the volume's not there. That data becomes clearer as time goes by. Backing up to something you said earlier, the closest concept is tough for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And what I've started to try to explain to people is the closer ambulance in the system is actually better than the closest ambulance system all the time. Because the closest ambulance system puts them all together. The closer ambulance system lets them divide out into the communities that we serve and worry about geography rather than magnetic volume.
Mm-hmm.
So closer is better than closest when you're all not. If you have a cardiac arrest at Tim Hortons on Corona and Linden, there's going to be 17 people looking to defibrillate you. They're coming from every direction. But when you're in Atlas Township or the Village of Goodrich, you don't even hear sirens for the first 15 minutes, and that's risky business.
So as this plan evolves, are you going to open up any kind of strategic ambulance hubs or something, or anything, or are they just always going to be, you're going to operate out of Hill Road and they're just going to disperse?
So the concept of the single deployment site is better for the restocking and washing, and that's where the mechanics are and stuff like that. However, we also realize that, and we're realizing it now, that if we had community deployment, 1 or 2 trucks that just started here and there and here, it takes the load off the main station. It puts the crews out into the community doing shift changes, so they're not back and forth all the time during shift change. And it sets up a physical presence in the communities that we serve. However, it's hard to tell how that rolls out until we see how the volume really, how it really comes to be. What we don't want to do is burden ourselves with a bunch of real estate. I'd rather put the trucks on the road and the people in them than a bunch of real estate, just so that there's a sign up front.
Mm-hmm.
So I think right now, the idea is to have the trucks mobile, have them moving about the system, watching the response times and watching the requests, and then decide where to put them as time goes by. And honestly, when you look at these substations, the further out, the better. So in a community like Goodrich or Atlas Township, this is a great place to have one because it's that much farther away from the hub, so to speak.
All right, this is my last question. So, based on 911 and the meetings that you've had, how is it looking as far as whether they're going to honor these agreements or not?
Save the easy ones for last.
Yeah.
I think that the 911 authority leadership, Mr. Emmendorfer and now Tim Jones, the new director, are realizing that this model is proven all over the state. And I think they're also recognizing that it's not really their role to decide what the communities choose for either law enforcement or fire or any of the rest. If you say the sheriff's department is our patrol department, then that's who gets the police calls. But for some reason, if the communities say MedStar is our ambulance company, the 911 authority said, oh, we'll see. So there's this question right now about why is it in this broken EMS system that you don't want to recognize these community contracts? And to be frank, and I guess it's not even a secret anymore, my colleagues from the other agencies, who I respect, we may disagree, but I respect them, there are components of our system, broken as it may be, who are standing up and saying, no, don't change anything. You don't want to take away the closest ambulance. You don't want to go away from this system. It always gives you the closest ambulance. And we should protect what we have here because it always gives us the closest ambulance. The only people saying that are the people who benefit from the broken system, and it's the other providers. It may be all they've known, it may be the environment that they built their business in, but it's not a system that provides care throughout the county. And I think that as that objection becomes seen for what it is, the county will shift towards a more systemic delivery of EMS. And by the way, for the communities that don't want to go along with this plan, the 911 authority recognizing these contracts does not force Flushing Township into doing this, or Montrose. They can stay with what they have now, and the other providers can keep doing what they're doing now. For the communities that want to make a choice, that choice is being offered, and I think my personal feeling is that as the 911 center leadership becomes more familiar with it and recognizes that it really is in place in the rest of the state, we move towards adoption. And Mr. Emmendorfer said, well, through the attorney Tony Chubb, what if about the liability that this places on the 911 center? The next day we gave them $1 million per occurrence and a $10 million umbrella for any call that's dispatched to MedStar through a community agreement under this contract. So we cut. Nobody's going to sue a 911 center. It's almost impossible. But for the fact that it was raised as an issue, we named every community that's a signatory, you included, and the 911 center named specifically in our liability policy.
Does anybody else have any questions? Mr. Miller, thank you so much, appreciate it.
Thank you.
So anyways, I was at the meeting over at Atlas Township. I was kind of on the fence about the whole service agreement, you know, that whole closest ambulance. Seems like a good concept until Mr. Miller explained that, you know, they're all hanging out to get the majority calls somewhere else. So I think this concept might work. I know one thing that persuaded me a little bit was listening to our fire chief talk. They're the first responders in our community, and he thought that this was a good idea and something that was long overdue. So with that, I will make a motion to adopt the emergency medical service agreement with MedStar.
I'll second that motion.
Motion on the floor is seconded. Any questions? Okay. Tracy, let's do a roll call. This involves the contract.
Walworth,
Yes.
Schlenz,
Yes.
McAbey,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Thank you, motion carries. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Okay, back
Hey, Ray,
to
sorry.
A.
Nope, we did
No, we didn't.
A. Oh, we didn't, we're still on
We
it,
did.
okay.
Authorize administrator to submit grant applications.
Oh,
MDOT Small Urban Program Road Project applications, asphalt pavement repair, Iowa Street and William Hofstadter Street.
Sure, I just didn't understand, on Hofstadter, I'm still confused, what portion of that road is, I mean,
It's
when
from
you turn on
M15,
there,
it's from M15 to the entrance into Hawthorne.
I thought that was the entrance off of M15,
It's
but-
1,350 feet.
Okay. All right, I just,
It was the reason that part of that road is part of the local roads is because of the hospital used to be there. That's why. It
oh, okay.
Yeah, there was a requirement.
was a requirement.
Okay, so just so the audience knows, these are two urban program grants that we're applying for. And the one for Pontiac Street, the total construction cost is $50,000. The grant is for $40,000, and we have a 20% match, so the village.
The 20%, it should be 8,000 instead of 10, by the way.
Oh, 8,000?
Yeah, so it'll be 48,000.
Okay.
And,
And then Hofstadter, is that number different too?
that was for Pontiac, and then for Hofstadter, yeah, that'd be 12,000 instead of 15.
12,000, okay.
Mhm.
So our match is, the total project is $72,000. The grant is for $60,000, and our portion would be $12,000.
Correct.
They're both good projects, paid for, majority of it paid for by, through the grant, so,
Mhm.
Is that coming out of the major road or minor? For our portion?
Be major.
Any other questions? What's the time frame on this? I mean, as far as,
The work,
Beginning.
it's, the village of Goodrich is every odd years. This won't be until, this is out through, this is 2024 through 2026. This won't even happen until like
yeah,
2025.
okay.
Because the same type of road project, small urban program, is going to be doing in 2023, is going to be doing Hegel, all the way from M15 to the end of it, and then also doing the sidewalks down M15. Widening the sidewalks, we approved that, but we're we're odd year, so.
well, I will make a motion to authorize our administrator to submit grant applications for the MDOT Small Urban Program Road Project applications to asphalt pavement repair for Pontiac Street and William Hofstadter Street.
I'll second that.
The motion and a second to approve, under new business, authorize administrator submit grant applications. Tracy?
Walworth,
Yes.
Schluntz,
Yes.
McAbey,
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Okay. B, authorize spending of the 2022 CDBG funds, $4,307 to purchase carbon monoxide detectors, radon detectors, and smoke detectors, and emergency weather radios for senior citizens.
This is CDBG funding that we can use for our seniors that live here in the village. Normally, we use this money for our, the part that I have highlighted here, for our seniors to fund exercise, nutrition programs, and their newsletter, and their transportation for your ride and meals. Due to COVID, these things haven't been happening, And the people that normally head this up for us, they haven't been doing it because of COVID. So last year's money, we ended up, or 2 years ago money, we ended up allowing it to go to the senior center in Davison, so we wouldn't lose the money, because a lot of our seniors go to that senior citizen center. And that was going to be the plan for this. This is what I was gonna do. And then Atlas Township, the supervisor, Shirley, told me that they went ahead and got permission to use their funds for these types of things. And I thought, well, I'm gonna see if I can do it. Because normally when you do this, when you have to have these things all listed. If it's not listed, you can't use it. So I called the CDBG and Community Development, and they said, yes, it's a possibility. Yes, you can do it. So I'm now posing it to you to see if you would like me to go ahead and do that.
Well, I would like to make a motion to authorize spending of 2021 and 2022 CDBG fund of $4,307 to purchase carbon monoxide detectors, radon detectors, smoke detectors, emergency weather radios for seniors citizens.
I'll second that.
Okay, the motion is second to approve the spending.
Can I have a discussion on it real quick?
Yes, discussion, Keith?
Yes, just Sherry, the only thing I'm curious about, I know you said that Atlas Township had done it and they had posted it on their website and so forth. Is there any specific requirements other than you just have to be a senior citizen? Or is there there's nothing on the amount of money that they make or anything like that?
Seniors, they have to be senior citizens.
And what age is that, 65?
My understanding is 55, but I'm gonna confirm that.
Oh, okay, well, I'm glad I asked.
Keith doesn't want me to hear me say that.
That's what I said. He said, "You're telling me I'm a senior citizen now?"
Yep.
I said, "Geez, oh, Pete, I don't."
But
wanna be
I'm going
considered
to,
a
I'm
senior
going
citizen
to
till I'm at least
confirm
60.
that, and also, how we will disperse these
That's what I was
now.
wondering, how distribution.
The township had people, they had to sign their name and put their address down, and they got it.
I mean,
I
do you know
mean-
how many they got? I mean, are we talking? How many?
Offhand, I do not. I'll ask. I
I
don't know.
mean, I think it's fine. I don't have a problem with it. It's just, you know,
I'm gonna get some quotes before I do it, I'm not gonna just,
Yeah.
they got theirs from Amazon.
I know. I just wish you could.
Yeah, they're on the count.
I just wish you could. There was some kind of requirements that they had to be within a certain income or so, so that the right people were getting them, not somebody. Well, I qualify because I'm old enough, so.
That's the only
If it's
qualification.
56, I qualify, but I won't be in there coming to get a smoke detector. I mean, I'd feel really guilty about it, but anyways.
Depends on how many people there are, I would think,
Yeah.
if there was enough for everybody.
I don't think they'll be running in.
Income has no bearing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that should, That's
Income has-
discrimination, Keith.
All right, go ahead, you can go ahead with the vote.
Okay. Tracy, please?
Moore,
Yes.
McAbey,
Yes.
Schluntz,
Yes.
Waller.
Yes.
Motion approved. Okay, C, adopt resolution number 2021-12, authorizing issuance of capital improvement refunding bond, series 2021, limited tax general obligation. Sherry, you need to explain this.
This is the final step in doing our, where you guys approved the refinancing of our USDA loan for this building. This is the final step that we have to do this in order to get the bonds issued for this. We've been in contact, well, our bonding attorney's been in contact with the USDA people about all this, and we plan on closing on the 25th. And
All right, well,
It's
we've
to the
already,
new
we've
smaller
already
rate.
agreed to this, so this is.
we have,
just,
this is housekeeping,
formality.
it's
Yeah.
Yes,
housekeeping,
formality.
yes,
Okay.
It's
Any other
with the new
questions?
small bank, right?
yes.
Yes.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we adopt resolution number 2021-12, authorizing issuance of capital improvement refunding bond series 2021.
I will second.
All right, there's a motion and a second to approve the adoption. Any other discussion? Tracy, if you would, please.
Schluntz,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
McAbey,
Yes,
Waller.
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for being patient. We're down to public comment on items not on the agenda. Who'd like to talk first?
All right, I'd like to read my letter to Bill. First of all, thank you, Sherry, and thank you, everybody, for giving me a little bit of a platform here. And just to be clear, this is not addressing the speed issues. I'm just talking about the stop sign there at Ridge Road and Green Ridge Estates in January. So, dear Village Council, thank you for taking the time to read my message. We have lived on the south, the stop sign on Green Ridge Estates since the summer of 2016. This past year, we have witnessed an increase of traffic and a decrease in awareness of the stop sign. Just recently, I was walking my dog and a car drove right through. I would have been hit if I assumed they stopped and crossed. A delivery truck barely tapped his brake and came back with feet of hitting me. High school traffic is often blamed for this, and high school traffic is a contributor, but it's a lot of other people as well. My 5-year-old daughter and I watched as an elderly woman did not even stop at the stop sign. Flew right through. With the new development of additional Green Ridge Estate lots, our village will have additional tax revenue. It will also have increased traffic greatly. Green Road will be paved in the next year or so, and will add traffic cutting down Ridge Road past Steve's house right there. I wish to get ahead of the traffic increase for the safety of my children and our neighbors. I'm seeking assistance to add solar power flashes to the stop signs, similar to other communities. We moved to the village from the township because there's a great place to live, raise children close to downtown. Please help me keep it that way for the folks who live in this area off of Ridge Road. Sincerely, Matt and Jessica Boland, and then I have 4 of my neighbors signed here too.
Thank you
Let
very
me
much, Mr. Bowman.
make that letter part of the record.
Yes. Yep. Absolutely.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Oh,
Thank you.
Sherry, did any other companies come forward with prices?
Matt and Aaron are working on that right now, getting prices for that, but no, not yet. We're working on it.
Only one company returned the information. That's kind of surprising.
So far.
And-
We're gonna get more, I
Send that out?
promise. Hmm?
Pardon
Where
me?
did you say
I said, we're going to get at least 2 more for sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm thinking those companies that do those other signs that flash, you know, I have
Yeah.
some of those addresses.
Okay.
They might not be located here, but I do have some of those addresses that
I just hope they help,
Well,
you know what I mean? Because I think people get used to the signs. It'll help at first, for sure. There's no
Well,
question about it.
these are the ones
But
with the
there's gonna be
LEDs, right?
Yes.
Those are nice and those are effective.
But I also sent the concerns of Mr. Bolin and of one of the other residents to our Sergeant Stadler of the Sheriff's Department. And the other resident requested that trailer be there that shows the speed, and from what I understand, it is there. So she is working on it, she's aware of it, of the speeding going
I
on
mean,
there.
that does help when you see those signs, you hit that brake, right? And you look, you hit that brake before you look down to see what speed you're going, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they definitely help.
I think they help big time. I drive a lot at nighttime, and they do, and they have like a warning one just before you get
Mhm.
like Vassar Road. And
I'm not 100% aware of that area. Is it a 4-way stop? And you're asking for the flashing of the stop sign, or what a actual red hanging light?
No,
Or is that-
on top of the stop sign.
I'm saying,
It's on the stop
but
sign.
I'm
It has
asking
a
what,
solar
no, I'm
power.
asking which one would be more effective.
I mean, if we had a stoplight there, that'd be amazing.
It wouldn't happen.
Uh,
Or a guard tower.
Yeah.
So the stopping flashlights will help bring awareness to that, because, you know, some people are purposely negligent, and some people are just not paying attention, and they go through. And then the flashing lights telling your speed limit, having the police officer sit there every once in a while, those address it temporarily, but it is.
That's what we were kind of hoping on Eagle, is if people at least get the rumor that it's a speed trap or something, maybe they will slow down, but it is a temporary.
Because
So
it's
it's
like
been a
you
problem.
feel like you're, when you're going down Ridge Road, that you're, you don't feel like you're on a main road. You feel like you're kind of on a back road, kind of.
It's posted 25 all the way.
Yeah, oh yeah, no, I know, and, you know, hopefully, if we get some lights in there, it'll help, but, you know, eventually we may have to put a light in there.
Is there any houses close enough that they might complain like that's, affecting their nighttime? Is there any?
I don't know how
houses?
close you are to
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, that would be an issue. for 4
Yes, it
houses
would,
minimum.
yeah. Absolutely, it's great if you go drive
That's
down the
something we
road,
can
take a
handle.
look at it.
We can consider a roundabout there too.
Yeah.
That might
Yeah.
cause more confusion for some of these young folks.
All right, council comments.
I'm not done yet.
You're not done, that's right.
Yeah, he
Did
hasn't
you miss
spoken
me?
yet.
Yes.
You haven't been here for a while.
No, I haven't, and I've got many irons in the fire. Nice job, Mr. Bowen, I appreciate your concerns. Ridge Road, I saw the flashing sign there tonight. Appreciate the trailer, but at one point, we had looked into putting the flashing speed limit signs up there, and the last council canceled that at their last meeting, which I found abhorrent. I couldn't believe it after all the discussion we'd had. And because I see them in Swartz Creek, I see them in Clarkson, I see them in Ortonville, and I think they're value added. And we need something. I don't know if you saw the speed study on Green Road over Memorial Day, the vehicles over 80 miles an hour.
Yes,
What was it, 50 over 80, and the highest one was 87?
Yep.
Where do you think they're going next? You
Yep.
know, exactly.
coming right down.
And I know this young man has chased people down at the stop sign there. I was gonna cite him tonight, not knowing he was gonna be here. But I do appreciate the trailer, but I'd like to revisit the flashing speed limit signs. I think we need to address that. The speed on that road has increased exponentially, because being a relative newcomer to Goodrich, and I've said this before, I've only been here since '91, that road wasn't paved when I moved out there,
No,
and
it's
I
not.
preferred that. But when they put the first stop signs in, I listened for the crashes. I mean, I had a landmine in my garage, I'd call 911, and it's only gotten progressively worse. And we need some aggressive enforcement. I actually had an officer years ago tell me, well, every time I pull somebody over, it's your neighbor. I don't care.
I said the
I don't
same
care who
thing.
hits me.
Yep,
So a guy actually told me that. Now, it's been a while, he's gone.
right.
But we need some aggressive enforcement on that road. And that's the only thing that's gonna slow people down. When I go to Troy, I know to slow down. Been that way since I was in my teens. Maybe it's changed, I don't know. But once it's in your mindset, you remember it. So we need to address these issues. The second thing I'd like to bring up, and I brought this up before, a public access on the mill pond. I mean, I'm financing the dam, I'm financing the mill pond, I wanna be able to use it. And there's no place I can get on that pond. I'd like to see that addressed. And I'm ecstatic to hear about a proposed ordinance regarding unlicensed junk vehicles in the village. I had no idea we didn't have one. I was actually gonna bring it up tonight, because I think there's one, 2 doors down from you, maybe 1 door down. It's been there for years on 4 flat tires. It's
Yes.
just an eyesore.
Yep.
And I appreciate your efforts on that, in that regard as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Now, council comments.
I see we have a Halloween decoration contest held by some of our staff.
Mhm.
Tracy, would you like to speak about that? Or would you like me to read it? Okay,
Nope,
we are having a
thank
Halloween decoration contest. The Village of Goodrich will be judging your Halloween decorations this year. 3 prizes will be given. Make sure you decorate by October 22nd.
So who's driving around at night to be the judge?
The staff.
What's that?
Yeah.
So what are the 3 prizes that you'll be given?
They're up there on the table.
We will be donating prizes, the staff is.
Okay.
Cool.
It's a surprise, guys.
They're up on the table. You can look at them. Come on in, look at them.
Where?
Oh.
What table?
Okay, upstairs.
Upstairs.
Oh, okay. I'll take one.
And Doug's
Well-
winning so far.
Pardon me?
Doug's
No, I'm
winning,
not
so-
eligible.
He's-
Oh, that's right, you're an employee.
Yeah.
Doug does have
I'll
a
say
very
that.
nice,
He
he's the
does,
one with
every
the
year.
skeletons on the,
On this.
on
He does a
the
nice
15
job.
there. Everybody appreciates those,
Yes, we
Doug.
do.
It's been too wet to get our graveyard. We'll get it up soon.
Okay.
I did get super good response from both Pens and Summit Concrete that I'll be presenting to you guys. I wanted to wait till we had a full council about the sidewalk proposal on Eagle, so I'll get you guys numbers hopefully by next month, so we can potentially move forward with that.
Nothing. I'd just like to bring up the their lack of treasurer. We have posted that and posted that. And everybody in the office is pitching in to make sure the business gets done. We've hired people to help. We're just not getting response. And next month, I would like to have a lengthier discussion on, we haven't used the treasurer's wages. I can't even tell you how far back. And I think that the people who are going above and beyond deserve something more than their wages. They're working in, if you want to call it a higher pay rate or whatever. But I think we need to really look at that officially and come to some way to compensate people who are doing a job and a half or 2 jobs or whatever, because the work is getting done. And that's it.
What was the woman that came to the meeting that night? She hasn't had any luck. She was like a fellow treasurer, banker friend. She sat here.
Our auditor.
That's
Our
the
auditor?
She said she
might
was
be able
gonna
to help.
really put the word out there.
She hasn't
Yeah,
done anything, no.
we're still waiting.
Yep. We need to,
It's a difficult position for us to fill for the main reason that it is a part-time position.
yeah, there's,
And they
What
can,
venues are we going on for advertising this?
I went on 3 different local newspapers, and I also been on MML 3 times. I'm on the 3rd time of being with Michigan Municipal League.
I mean, anybody coming out of school with an accounting degree or whatever that would step into a position like that, they're looking for a full-time position with benefits.
Exactly.
They're not
It's
getting
really
that
hard
here.
to find somebody.
So
that-
that's the big.
And right now, you can,
Yeah.
you can get a
Yeah.
job at McDonald's making $18 to $20 an hour.
The best thing that we could do is find a retired
Well-
treasurer that decides that she'd like to work,
Open hours.
Mhm.
that's what we need to do, is put our
But,
thinking
yes.
caps on.
But I just want to bring this to your attention. We lost our part-time girl
Oh.
in August. Well, she found another job, so,
Um,
One more.
yeah, so we've lost her again. So, we've lost 55 hours of normal work a week, 55 hours a week of work that Tracy and I and Pat are absorbing right now. So, that we don't have anymore. So I just want you to know it's very difficult. And this girl right here has gone way above and beyond, way above and beyond. And deserves some recognition,
That's right.
something
Thank
here.
you, Tracy, and we will be
Thank you,
looking into
Tracy.
that.
More than thank you.
And this goes way back over a year, you
Yeah.
guys.
That's right. All right.
So,
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
I'll second that motion.
All right.
She's
All in
very-
favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion's adjourned at 8:
7:08.
7:08.